Welcome to the Game Winner Podcast. I'm your host, Boris. I'm here with Fasi Tunga, Fasi, and Zach Kerr. It's been a couple of weeks since we've all been together. Episode 10, we had to bring the cast back. Are you guys excited? How are you guys feeling? This show, we've kind of dove into a lot of different sports topics, but it's Football Sunday, week one. We have to talk NFL. We're going through all the games. We're talking about Thursday. How are you guys feeling?
Feeling good,
baby.
living.
Week one.
Yeah,
Week one.
it's
That's
been
right.
Great
interesting
NFL
week one.
start. Great NFL start.
If you're watching the YouTube channel, you'll see we're all wearing hats of our favorite NFL teams. We are 1, 2, 3 winners in a row right here. We got the 49ers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and those Los Angeles Chargers. So we're all riding high. We're all hyped. We all had
Feeling
mixed
good.
bags in terms of fantasy football, but it was a good weekend for us, and I think we can go through game by game. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good. I mean,
Go
feeling
ahead,
good.
Zach.
Fine. Like you said,
Yeah.
Fantasy's a little rough. It's been a rough week, but real life football's been good to me. It's been nice. It's been nice to see. Chargers
All
got
right.
their dub with the new coach, so can't complain.
Absolutely. They turned it on at the end. That was a good matchup. 49ers had a little kind of issues at the end, but they still came out with the W, and Bucks kind of struggled as well towards the end. So all teams kind of maybe struggled to the finish line, but hey, a win's a win, and we'll take it. So we'll go game by game. We'll start with that Thursday matchup. The Dallas Cowboys traveled to Tampa Bay to visit the Super Bowl champs. Buccaneers came in heavy favorites, but in reality, this was a shootout. Dak Prescott was throwing the ball all over the field. He was threw the ball 58 times for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But the Bucks, they also were going off. Tom Brady had almost a perfect game, 2 interceptions, but one was a bomb at halftime, and one was off of Leonard Fournette's hands. A lot of costly turnovers for the Buccaneers cost them, but, good teams learn how to win, and I think this was a good game for them to get challenged but also come out on top. How are you guys feeling about this game this Thursday night?
Hey, the Bucks. You could tell that they had the first game jitters. The Cowboys, same thing. But once they really started to get in the groove, I felt like Tom Brady and that offense for the Buccaneers really started clicking more towards the midway point of the game. Tom Brady had a few TDs, a few turnovers from the Buccaneers offense, but they had it going, and then at the end, that's that week one thing. You got to finish, and it's everybody's just getting their legs under them. The Cowboys made a run, but couldn't finish it off. Dak threw a bunch of times. I don't know what happened to their run game. They didn't go to Zeke at all. I think he ran or carried the ball like 10 times or something out of that whole game. But yeah, it was just great to see football back. Tom Brady and Gronk doing their thing. I think they'll be doing that for another 4 or 5 years, it seems like. But, overall, great football game, great way to start the season.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the thing with Zeke,
go ahead.
just to hop in there real quick, Bucks had the best run defense in the NFL, um, and it wasn't working. It was a wasted play. You were starting off 2nd and 9, whatever it was, and the Cowboys knew that, and they knew they could pass on this team. And the weakness in the Bucks defense, we talk a lot. I mentioned how good the Bucks defense is, but their secondary is weak. They had one guy out already with Whitehead, and then Sean Murphy Bunting breaks his arm. So they're 2 guys short on that already kind of weaker backfield. You had to attack that. I think Zeke actually played a great game. He was pass blocking like a maniac, and when he did get the ball, he looked quick. It's just he's playing against the best run defense in the NFL. I would recommend, I've heard this in a couple of places, if you're playing in fantasy and you don't have Zeke, maybe you could sucker somebody into trading for him, because I think he is going to have a big year. This was just, even before this game, everybody knew this is not the good matchup for Zeke. Dak showed that arm is fine, and he's going to tear it up for the year.
Yeah, that's a good fair point. I mean, I agree with you on that. Dak showed that ankle injury. I mean, is behind him. I think if they had a slow start was just due to that reasoning, right? He's trying to get his ankle underneath him, got that shoulder injury in preseason, but no, he was showing that he still can play. He's the guy that he first 5 weeks of last year, he was that guy throwing 400 yards, having on track to be one of those record-breaking years. So I think again, the Cowboys are gonna look good. I think what you said, that run defense from the Bucks really just dampered Zeke. But as he keeps going through the year, like Zeke will be fine. I think Dallas is gonna be one of those teams you gotta look out for in the NFC.
All right. I think both teams played well. I think these are two good teams.
Yeah.
I do worry about the Cowboys defense because the Bucks were slicing them up. The only reason why they scored even as much as they did, or they didn't score as much, is because of a couple costly turnovers. So I think that defense is not very good, and that could be the same issue that hampered them last year when Dak was healthy. So we'll have to see if maybe under Dan Quinn it takes a couple of weeks, but that's what happens with new defensive coordinators. They usually start terribly, and then maybe by week 8, 9, you might see what they actually could be for that playoff run. So we'll see what happens there. Overall, good game. I think everybody was very happy to see this start off the NFL season and such a back and forth fun game. And the weekend didn't disappoint. There weren't too many sleeper games overall. Let's move on to one of the early games. We'll go Seahawks versus the Indianapolis Colts. Seahawks won 28-16 in Indianapolis. Russell Wilson cooked. He did his thing. And the Colts played decently well. They, Carson Wentz, 25 for 38, 251, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. But Russell Wilson, 254, 4 touchdowns, big plays down the field. Tyler Lockett went off, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I thought these were two good teams, but the Colts just couldn't get enough on offense with only 16 points.
Yeah, that's true. I think one thing with the Colts too is that their run game, they really benefit when Jonathan Taylor is hitting that 100-yard mark, right? When he's really running the ball. But yeah, Seattle's obviously the better team. They've always been. Um, you can't really knock that. You kind of do see that coming. But again, the Colts, Carson Wentz is coming back from that injury, that surgery. So it's, you can kind of give him that. But still, the Indy defense is something we were talking a lot about, or at least I was, how good they would have been. So they should at least stop them a little more than they did, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as that game goes, man, Russell Wilson did his thing. If there was anything that the Colts had as far as a strong point goes in their team, it was their defense. And for them to give up 250 plus to Russell Wilson and 4 TDs, it's a bad start for their defense. Carson Wentz is coming off of foot surgery. He didn't do much at all. I was hoping this game would be more closer than what it really was. I mean, 28-16. But the Colts need to get it together both on offense now and defense. That line, I thought it was going to be good, but it didn't do well. Jonathan Taylor, he only had 56 yards or something. He needs, or I'm sorry, he was over.
That was right. 56
Yeah,
rushing,
he was at
60
56
receiving.
yards. Yeah. So they need him to do way more than just that. Carson Wentz, he's going to get it going, hopefully. Week 1, it's just, he's just basically coming into preseason game 1 because he was out the whole preseason. But yeah, you expect way more from the Colts. I thought this was going to be one of the closer matchups in the week, but Russell Wilson did his thing and he absolutely destroyed that defense.
Yeah, it was crazy how well Russell Wilson played. He only threw the ball 18, or he only completed 18 of 23. So, yeah, 254 doesn't sound like a lot of yards. That's just because he didn't have to throw for a lot. They were up most of the game. It was never really in question who was going to win this. If you look at the stats, 18 completions, 254. You look at Carson Wentz, 25 completions for 251. So Russell Wilson's definitely going down the field a lot more, and Carson Wentz throwing a lot shorter passes. I don't think Wentz played terribly. I think he played okay, especially for his first game. But this is a team that needs to get out there. At the same time, the division is a little different than we expected after week 1. So I think the Colts will bounce back, and I think they're a good, not great team. That's kind of where I have them. Playoff, maybe. First round knockout type team. And I didn't see anything different in this game that would make me change my mind on that. All right, let's move on. We got the next game here. We got Texans. Jaguars, Texans. This was one of the shockers of the weekend to me personally, just how this game went. What'd you guys think about this Texans Jaguars game? 37, well, before we get into it, 37-21 Houston over Jacksonville.
Yeah, a lot of people wrote off Tyron Taylor as far as being a starting quarterback in the league, but he came out today. He threw 21 times, 291 yards, and two TDs on Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that's not saying a lot as far as defense goes for the Jaguars, but Tyron Taylor, he came out, he looked like, he's been there before. I mean, he shouldn't be looked at somebody who's going to be sitting on the bench as far as QBs goes. He deserves to be in this starting role as far as the Texans go. That's exactly what they needed, and he came out and he brought it. They were going against a weak defense, but as far as the offense goes, everything looked good. Um, Philip Lindsay, Mark Ingram for as far as the running backs goes, they looked good. Mark Ingram had 85 yards and a touchdown, so that's great. Brandon Cooks, 5 catches, 132 yards. So he's picking up right where he left off, kind of taking over that role that Will Fuller um, had last year. But again, this matchup, nobody had the Texans winning this. Let's face it. Everybody thought that they were probably going to win one, two, three games at the most this season. They come out week one, they get a victory. Good for Tyron Taylor. Good for the Texans. Keep it rolling over there in Texas.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Like I was hyped on Tyrod Taylor when he was in Cleveland. He was named the starter for the Chargers until he got his lung punctured. So it's good to see him, like you said, kind of being out there and showing his skills. Uh, he's always proved that he could. He's even talked about it, and now we get to see it. I think the biggest thing is that the Houston defense made stops. Right, they made 3 interceptions when all of last year they only had three, the whole 2020 season. So that in one game is showing that maybe the defensive scheme is better. Um, but yeah, I mean, surprising Jackson lost. I mean, it's whatever. I think that was going to happen with a rookie QB like that. More surprising that Houston performed the way they did. Um, I think is it more of the lack of Jacksonville's defense, not being so good, or just that coaching staff and that team is actually pretty good, kind of under the radar than we thought, than we give them credit for.
Yeah, no, I'm not shocked that Jacksonville lost this game. I'm not. I was shocked at how they lost this game. It wasn't close.
Yeah,
Like Texans blew them out. The score is 37-21. It wasn't even
early.
that close. That's like
Yeah.
generous to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But looking at Trevor Lawrence's stat line, 28 for 51. Um, missed a
going.
lot of guys. But at the
I
same
mean,
time, 332, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. It reminds me of a Andrew Luck, like, because he keeps getting compared to like an Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning type guy. And this stat line reminds me of an Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning rookie season stat line. High touchdowns,
Throw, throw,
high
throw.
yards, high interceptions. And that, I, I think he's gonna figure it out. I was very like happy with how he played, even though he struggled a lot. He showed promise. I mean,
Yeah,
to still throw for 332 and 3 touchdowns
pretty good.
with the interception, that's great for a rookie quarterback. So he's going to be a guy that I think figures it out over time. That'll be a stud for years to come. Just the ability to hit that yard mark was good. Jacksonville Jaguars defense is worse than I even thought. Terrible. They were getting
Yeah.
sliced and diced by Houston. Wait until they play a real team. But Houston showed up for head coach David Coley. They're making. I mean, this is the laughing stock of the league, and they played a lot better than I thought they would play. So I think that's something to be, you know,
Do
happy
you,
about. It
do
almost
you
reminds me
think
of Miami a couple years ago when they were way better than people thought when they were trying to tank in people's minds.
so? What happens? Let's just play devil advocate here. What
Uh huh.
if Tyrod plays how he should? So he goes 5-0, 6-0, whatever, and then Deshaun comes back. Do you hand it over back to Deshaun right away, or do you just ride your hot hand who's getting you all these wins and love and everything like that?
I got two
Versus
answers
Let
for
me
City.
let
that.
me go first. Let me go first. Let
All
me go
right, you
first.
go
I'm just
Fossey,
saying,
because
I'm
Let
going.
me go first.
I got two answers for that. Go ahead, Fossey.
All
Let's hear
right.
it.
So first of all, that is not gonna happen in a million
I'm just
years.
saying. I'm saying
They
the
are
what if.
not
Let's
gonna
play the
go
what if
to
on that.
5 wins in a row. Okay. And second of all, if you
Uh,
have Deshaun Watson coming back, you absolutely have to give him the ball. He's a generational talent, one of the best QBs that you'll ever see play the game now. So if even if they were to do that, if Tyron Taylor does
you're winning.
well, a miracle happens and they win 5 games in a row, and Deshaun Watson
Okay.
is ready to come back. There's no doubt about it. You got to go with
Just hand it
Deshaun
over.
Watson. Go ahead, Boris.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair. That's respectable.
I'm with Fossey on the first point. It's not going to happen. There's no way.
Yeah.
Second off, Tyrod Taylor's
Just the what if.
you know who he is? He's the new Ryan Fitzpatrick, which we'll get to him later. He had a
Mm,
rough day, but he's that guy where he's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a, I would say maybe like 25th best quarterback in the league. He's fine. You know,
mm-hmm.
he's a TV dinner. You know, he's fine. He gets the job done. But at the
Yeah.
same
Okay.
time,
He's Jimmy G.
he's not getting you
He's
to the
Jimmy G.
promised land. I also think that
Yeah.
like there's no way in hell that Deshaun Watson plays this season. I would be shocked if it happens. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
I just don't see him coming back this year, no matter what happens. So
Mm,
I think Tyrod will be the starter. If he stays healthy, he'll be the guy. If somehow, some way, Deshaun Watson becomes eligible, then I guess you put him
maybe.
in. But I just don't see that even happening this year. There's no way with all
Yeah.
the cloud around him. There's so much legal process to happen right now that I wouldn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Like
And then he
keep
probably
him
gets
out, keep
suspended
him
when
out
he
of the
comes back
NFL, and the
anyway.
NFL wants him to have nothing to do with them for the next year at least.
Yeah, until it gets brushed under the rug like always. All right. Just thought I
We'll
brought it
see.
up. Thought I'd just see what happens.
Next one on the list.
Next
This is actually so that last game was a big surprise. This one might even be a bigger surprise. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles heading out to Atlanta, stomping on the Falcons, 32-6. Okay, 32-6. Eagles over Falcons. Fossey, what'd you think about this game?
This game was definitely a eye opener as far as the NFC East goes. I mean, you got Washington, who may be out of their starting quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick for a while. We don't know yet what happened with his hip, but the Eagles looked
Not looking.
really good. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he came out and threw 27 times out of 35 times, or 35 times out of 27. He completed passes, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I mean, the guy looked great. This might be the best quarterback stat line of the week. So he comes
All
out, he
right,
comes
let's calm
firing.
down with that. I don't know about best quarterback stat line of the
I mean,
week.
come
Come
on,
on.
he only missed like 9 passes or something, but whatever.
All
He
right.
looked
Hey,
good. He
give him
looked
his
good.
praise. Give him his
He
flowers.
looked good, and you know what? They came out and made a statement. I feel bad for everyone who drafted Kyle Pitts in their fantasy leagues because he didn't do anything.
Steven.
The Eagles, the Eagles just came out and dominated on all parts of the game, special teams, offense, defense. They did their thing. They do it in Atlanta. Atlanta only had 6 points. Again, it was a 32-6 blowout. The Eagles might have a good chance in winning this division as far as Jalen Hurts goes. A very bright future. If that defense stays healthy, they look great. A good start to their season.
No, yeah, I agree. The Eagles look good off of this one game, but it is Atlanta. I mean, I don't think any of us had expecting much from them. Um, and the receivers didn't really get involved in for the Falcons. I mean, like you said, Kyle Pitts, nothing happened. Uh,
Did
I
you
think the
draft
Eagles
him?
really just show. No, that
Did
was
you
Steven.
draft him?
Steven drafted Kyle Pitts.
Okay,
I
okay,
didn't draft anybody from Atlanta. Um,
okay, good.
I drafted Devontae Smith though. No, but he was on my bench. Regardless, but I think like that college connection really does help, and you kind of see that with Jalen Hurts and Smith playing in Alabama for a year at least. So I mean, Eagles look good, like you said. They might actually really compete in that NFC East since it is a weak division overall.
All right, so I think I was a little impressed by the Eagles' offense, but I also know Falcons' defense is not very good. So that was kind of impressive, not anything shocking to me. I was shocked by this Atlanta Falcons offensive stat line. 21 for 35 for 164 for Matt Ryan with new weapons. I mean, he has struggled in the past without Julio Jones, but geez, this was a bad one for him. And I did not think that the Eagles defense was that good at all. I thought they were mediocre at best. So I think that was the. I mean, I know we're gonna look at that Hurts and some of the fantasy numbers, and he looked really good. But I think it was the story of this for the Eagles is really the defense playing that well against Atlanta, who has been a poor team, but they've been a really bad defense. Their offense usually puts up points, and they just destroyed Atlanta's offense. So interesting. I think Kyle Pitts actually played okay, only 31 yards, but I mean, Matt Ryan only threw for 164. So you can't get that many yards anyway. Calvin Ridley only had 51. So I think that he was involved in the offense and he's going to continue to be involved in the offense. But you get worried that this team without Julio Jones, they've struggled in the past without him. And now it shows that, man, they were not doing anything. So we'll see how they turned it up. But I think I think the Eagles defense was the story. And this could be a team better than we thought because, yeah, the offense played well against a bad defense, but that defense played well against the offense that we thought could be good.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're in division with Washington, who's obviously the favorite, and then you got the Cowboys. If the Eagles look like this, if Jalen Hurts can throw for 3 touchdowns, do his thing, they'll be in contention as far as the defense goes as well. If they do their thing, if they hold no touchdowns, the NFC East is up for grabs.
Let's talk about those Washington football teamers that you were just mentioning. They played at home. The Chargers, LA Chargers, came into town. Chargers beat them 20-16. This game obviously had the huge injury to Ryan Fitzpatrick that sounds like it might actually be more serious than we thought. So I know you mentioned them as the favorite, but after this week, that could shift maybe to Dallas. We'll see what happens. But let's start with you, Zach. Obviously, huge Chargers fan. How'd you feel about this win?
I mean, I thought the win was great. I didn't catch all of it, like we were talking about earlier about like the fumble deal. That's like the one play I missed. But I mean, I think it's a good win. A little scary, right? Because we were putting up points early and then we let them come back. So it's more of our defense needs to kind of fine tune that. But I think it looked good. I mean, Justin Herbert's picking up where he left off, 300 yards, 31 for 47. The rushing game is there with Eckler and everything and Roundtree. So I liked what I saw. Receiving game, everyone's getting involved, which is good, rather than just like two people, you know. But it was a little nerve wracking. Could have lost the game by like 3 points again. But no, it's good. Washington though, yeah, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't know how that's gonna go for them. That could shift to Dallas. Um, but I got hope in Heineke. I'll tell you that right now, Heineke might be the guy.
Okay. I mean, he played well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year in that playoff game. He gave him a lot of trouble, but we'll see what happens. Fossey, what about you? How did you feel about this game?
So I gotta give it up to the Chargers, man. I really thought they were gonna lose this game. I thought Washington's defense was gonna be too much for Justin Herbert and his weapons, but dude, Justin Herbert is the truth. Let's face it. He came out, he threw for 337 yards, a TD and a pick, but if if that doesn't say enough for you, against the Washington football team, who should have one of the best defenses this year. I mean, you look at the stat lines for as far as their receivers goes. Keenan Allen, 9 receptions, 100 yards. Mike Williams, I'm telling you guys, this is his year. I've been saying it since the beginning. 80 or 8 catches, 82 yards, and a TD. They're going to be as good as Chris Godwin and Mike Evans this year. Book it. So, man, this San Diego, this Los
You could
Angeles
say that. You could say it.
Chargers team is going to be great when you got a guy like Justin Herbert, the truth, leading the way. Their defense looked great too. I'm excited for this team. Zach, bolt up.
Yeah,
All
no, I
right.
mean the biggest thing.
Go
Let me
ahead.
let me
Go
get
ahead,
one little
Zach,
thing
before
in
I
first.
go off a little bit. Go ahead.
I know you want to go in. Now the biggest thing too, like that, I think you're underlooking is that the Chargers addressed their whole offensive line, right, all the way from inside and out, with Lindsley up to the guy from Detroit and the Steelers. But picking up Rashawn Slater, he played young in college and didn't let him get behind him, let him get a sack at all. So I think that's the most, the important thing is that the rookie could block, and he's not letting anything happen. And to go against Chase Young and shut him down like that, it's just saying the line's important. That's why
Yeah.
Herbert can do what he do. Go ahead, Boris.
Hey,
Take
Boris,
your piece.
All
before
right.
you
Let me
go,
let me let me go over.
don't
Let me
don't be
go
mad
over.
that I said that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are gonna be just as good as Chris Godwin and
All that and some chicken
don't
wings.
be mad.
All right. First off, that's not going to happen. Mike Williams has games here and there. I was happy to see him play well this week, so I will say that. Jared Cook also had a good game with 56 yards. I was happy to see him spread it around. The offensive line was much improved in the passing game, not as much on the running game. Eckler only averaged 3.8. So it was good. I mean, passing wins games. So that's what you need to focus on the most. I think Eckler will get going more later in the season. Yeah, they're not. I mean, you're comparing the Bucks, Godwin and Evans, when really they're Godwin, Evans, Brown is the triplets. I was gonna mention this in the Buccaneers part, but like Evans didn't get involved at all. Really, he was more of a decoy. You could see him even get a little frustrated, and he's a guy that never gets frustrated. So I could see him maybe having a big week next week, and it's just gonna keep rotating round and round. But he didn't get that many targets. He had a big drop. Chris Godwin had a big drop, but Antonio Brown was the guy. Uh, Mike Williams, show me. I mean, you're comparing him to Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. He didn't even
Hey,
get over
look,
100
look.
yards. Let's calm down. Let's calm down
Let's
with that.
see how the season goes. I said if you got a guy like Justin Herbert, who is the truth, throwing you the ball, that duo will be as good as those two. But yeah, I didn't
I don't
mention
know.
Antonio Brown, so I'm not
I
I'm
mean,
not even
as
gonna
a
do that.
fan,
I would
Toss,
like to
like
see Mike
I
Williams
get
do
it.
well, but
Like like it's my team, right? But I give it like with Boris, like Williams could be good. He had that whole Kansas City comeback a couple years ago, but he's either hurt or he just gets a couple deep balls and that's it. Is they don't feed him enough. So I mean, really looking for an offense that would feed him like they do, like how the Bucks will, like they feed their guys every so often.
Godwin's head and shoulders better. It's not even close. And then Evans is with Keenan Allen if he was a number one on a team like
I'm
that.
telling you guys,
And Antonio
Justin
Brown's just
Herbert
as good as all of
will
them.
put Mike Williams in the
All right,
conversation this
we'll
year.
see. Justin
We'll
Herbert
see.
was the quarterback last year. It's on Mike Williams. It's not on Justin Herbert. Speaking of
Herbert will
Washington,
get him there.
I think they're in trouble. Before we go on to the next game, I just want to mention that this could be a prime place for a Cam Newton, maybe, if Ron Rivera wants to
With
bring him,
Rivera.
because that would be the guy
Yeah.
that he knows. He knows the offense. He knows everything. You could just put him right in, and it would work flawlessly. We'll see if he wants it. We'll know how he feels about Cam Newton in the next week, because if he doesn't bring him in, that means he doesn't like Cam Newton. That's simple as that, because
Yeah.
with that relationship, it just makes too much sense. So
Did he have a
check that
falling
out.
out?
I want to see that happen.
They
I
didn't
want
have
I
a
don't think
falling
they,
out
I
on
don't think
paper, but he may. We'll see what happens if he doesn't give him a call and you lose Ryan Fitzpatrick for the
worked out.
year or 6-8 weeks. Then that'll tell you. You don't have to know if there's a falling out or not. That'll tell you right there, straight up.
How he thinks about Cam still. Yeah,
Exactly.
fair.
Next on the list, this was also kind of a surprising game. We had the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Buffalo to face the Bills. Pittsburgh pulls out the win, 23-16. I wasn't so shocked with the result, perhaps. Like that can happen. I was just surprised how poorly the Bills offense played. We all know that Pittsburgh has a good defense, but they really stifled them. 30 for 51, 270, a touchdown for Josh Allen, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, 3-4. Steelers offense really didn't get going too much until late, and even then it kind of,
Really.
188 and a touchdown. Najee Harris, nothing. 2.8 per carry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get into this a little bit because this was my idea on fantasy, and I hope Najee proves me wrong. But my only reason for staying away from him in every league was I had James Conner last year, and it wasn't that James Conner looked bad. It was he was getting hit in the backfield 3 yards before he even made it there every play. And that Steelers offensive line didn't look any better. They got exposed against the Buffalo defense that's okay, decent, not like dominant, not like a Washington or anything like that. So I think Najee could struggle. He needs to get his points receiving because that's where he's really going to get his opportunity. But Pittsburgh pulled out the victory. I think they're an okay team, but it's defense for them. Defense dominated.
Yeah. I mean, special teams, defense, all of it really kind of contributed to that
Mm-hmm.
team win. It was really like our team win, all levels that really got
Absolutely.
them back in it. Yeah, you had Buffalo, make their mistakes and everything like that. But Steelers, yeah, you show them they're still a good team no matter what, regardless of the noise that's around them. They'll get it done no matter what. You, so Mike Tomlin knows how to coach. But Buffalo, I don't think it's like don't knock Buffalo out. It's just one bad week. Someone just outplayed you on all levels rather than just one or two. Go ahead, Foss.
Yeah, I think as far as this matchup goes, I mean, I didn't have the Bills losing, but they lost. And Roethlisberger, I mean, I didn't think he would throw that many times, but he did. He threw 32 times, completed 18. He had a touchdown. Najee Harris, I mean, he wasn't too much of a factor here, but you got to account for that um, rookie as far as the running back goes, especially with a Bills kind of defense. You know, you want to stop the run, and that's what they did. They contained him. Chase Claypool did well as far as being a decoy goes, but this overall was a defensive game for them. Josh Allen, he didn't do well at all, and that was because the defense, the Steelers defense, were on top of their game. He only had 217 or 70 yards, one touchdown. I mean, I thought he was going to come out and have like four touchdowns, to be honest, especially against this Steelers defense. I thought they were going to come out and make a statement. TJ Watt just got paid. He didn't do much, but I thought that Stephon Diggs was going to have a game. I thought that run game was going to get going with Devin Singletary, but it didn't happen. And you know what? Good for the Steelers. They did well. So hats off to them. The Bills got to go back to the drawing board. Not a good start for them, but I still think they'll be top notch in this league.
All right, we're gonna wrap it through a couple more games. We got a lot to get through, so we're gonna keep it moving. Next on the list, we could just skip this game. 49ers headed to Detroit. Took the game 41-33. Didn't cover the spread. The spread was 9, and they blew it for all the gamblers out there. But played well. They almost Shanahan the game away. We can get into that. Fossey, how'd
Yeah,
you feel about your 49ers?
All right, so first of all, let me just say that Jimmy G played a hell of a game. As far as um, a game manager goes, he did his thing. He made all his throws. He managed the game as far as keep protecting the ball. No turnovers except for that first snap. I think after that snap, he got his jitters out. It was a blowout until basically the fourth quarter. Let's face it, Shanahan. Let's just say that. I mean, you've seen it in Super Bowls as far as the 49ers go and the Atlantic or Atlanta Falcons, sorry, goes. He's lost games that should have been won in the big stage. This, as far as uh, NFL goes, is a big game. It should have been a blowout. Week one, you're at Detroit, not a good team, and he almost blew it. The defense wasn't on par as far as the end goes. The whole entire game, they were doing their thing, and then you start feeling comfortable. You take starters out, and then Jared Goff just goes off on a run. But the biggest thing that happened to the 49ers today was the loss of Jason Verrett. You got to feel for the guy. He's been Pro Bowl caliber cornerback, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries. Week one, we're up big, 21 points. it's the fourth quarter, and he might have a ACL tear, so that's something to watch. But good that we won, but also kind of somber morale and probably in that locker room. So we'll take this over to Philly next week and see what happens.
Yeah, somber morale for sure. I think the announced that like Kyle Shanahan asked how they think about the win, and everyone didn't say anything. Right? It tells you about the team won, but they didn't play well. Like the team didn't win themselves. I wouldn't say Shanahan did away, like you guys are saying. It was more of a George Kittle um, mental mistake, right, with the false start, and then Debo not protecting the ball after he caught it and made a football move. But you can see that the Niners still have have it in the tank. They've still got the plays, the playmakers to win. Defense just tightens up. But Detroit didn't look that bad in that first drive, pushing the ball down, making moves, making turnovers, right? So that's something nice to see for Dan Campbell, especially for Jared Goff too. But with the Niners overall, they'll be fine. The Jason Verrett loss does suck, but they're looking at Sherman again. And you got Josh Norman that they signed a couple days ago. He'll probably fill in that spot for sure. So I mean, the Niners will be good. The game overall, though, was fine. I mean, there's like surprises. There was big plays from Debo. Debo really showed me that he's that guy. I told you, Boris, I wasn't too fond of him. Told you, Fasi, I think he was a bust too. Um, so that was my biggest takeaway: was Debo really balling out and making those plays, and Jimmy being consistent.
Yeah, I think Jimmy played great. Debo played awesome. He had that big fumble, but he had a great game other than that. We'll see if he can stay healthy. Brandon Ayuk, I don't know what happened to him. Just disappeared from the game
He
plan
nowhere to
completely,
be found.
which is
He's
crazy.
gone.
I think that'll change though. I don't see that staying like that. I would be worried about the 49ers defense, just their secondary, because they were already hurting and now they're really hurting. They gave up almost 340 yards to the Lions, which you get worried about that. But they're a good team, good defense, good offense. They'll be in the playoff hunt or in the playoffs down the stretch. This was a game they had to win because you can't blow this one, and they pulled it out. So everybody, they're not happy, but maybe that's a good thing. You want to get that edge to them. Next on the list, this was also kind of a shocking game. Minnesota Vikings at Cincinnati Bengals. All we heard all offseason is how like the Cincinnati Bengals look terrible. Jamar Chase is terrible. Joe Burrow is terrible. The whole team sucks. They come out with the 27-24 win over the Vikings. They were actually up most of the game. Then they kind of blew it, and then it went to overtime, and they pulled off the victory after a Dalvin Cook fumble. But this game kind of highlights what I wanted to highlight in general for all these teams is we talked about these rookie quarterbacks all offseason, and the rookies played decent to okay, but these rookie receivers, pretty much on every team, they made a play. You had
Yeah,
Devontae Smith, you had Jamar
Chase made the play.
Chase. Yeah, I mean, it seemed
Yeah,
like every top guy made a huge play. So I thought that was impressive. I love to see Joe Burrow, 261 on 20 for 27, two touchdowns. He looked good, way better than they were saying. Vikings put up a bunch of points. That's because the Bengals defense isn't very good, but they showed up when it matters, and I think this was a huge victory for Cincinnati Bengals.
yeah, totally agree with that. I mean, it's good to see Burrow come back from his ACL, and ball like he did, kind of picking it up. Like you said, Jamar Chase has hands; he can catch, so that's good to see as well for him and having that connection as well. Vikings though, they had a slow start. All right, they were putting up numbers in the beginning, um, but you can't knock Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen over there. So I think the Vikings will be okay. I think it's more of a game that Cincinnati shows that they can play, they can compete in that AFC North. So I think they have a bright future. Again, not winning that division like we mentioned, but they're gonna make bigger strides this year than they have before.
Yeah, so dude, hats off to the Cincinnati Bengals. They came out, they did their thing. Nobody had them winning. Let's face it, nobody had them winning this game. But they came out and basically scratched out a win against a very good Vikings team. I mean, Joe Burrow, two touchdowns. You had Joe Mixon, 127 yards. That's great. And then you have Jamar Chase. Everybody thought he wasn't going to be able to catch the ball because the football was a different size or whatever the case may be. I don't know
Yeah,
what
different
happened,
has
but he
stripes
came,
on it.
yeah, he came out and he had 101 yards and a TD off of 5 catches. So he looks great. I'm glad that he came out and did that. T. Higgins, 58 yards, a touchdown. So look, as far as this team goes, we said that they were going to be a good team, and they showed it today. That defense was great. They were down, they came back, they tied it up, and they won it in OT. So good for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're in a tough division, but man, this division, their division, they got the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. I mean, all of them potential winners as far as Week 1 goes, but they're in the conversation as far as being a good contender for the playoffs in the AFC. So hats off to Joe Burrow and that team.
Agreed. I still think they're the fourth best team in the division, and they could struggle because of the defense, but the offense looks better, which is good. And maybe next year, if they add a couple of pieces, they could be really in the conversation. But I think that we talk about the NFC West being the best team, the best division in football, and I do think that is true. But I think that this AFC North is right there in the second position, right behind them. So good division, good game for Cincinnati. Happy to see Burrow get that win. Next on the list, we'll kind of go through this game. It was a little more of a boring one. We had the New York Jets at the Carolina Panthers. This was the revenge game for Darnold, revenge game for Robbie Anderson. Darnold played well, 279 and a touchdown. McCaffrey did his thing, of course, 98 rushing yards and 89 receiving yards. He's just a started where he left off. And then the Jets, Zach Wilson, 2 touchdowns and a pick, struggled a lot, but he also showed a lot of poise and promise with those 2 touchdowns and showing that Corey Davis can be a number one with that 97 and 2.
I didn't think Corey Davis would do as well as he did. Let's face it. I thought that they were just giving free money away when they gave him all that money and signed him as the number one. But Zach Wilson came out and he was throwing to him all the time. Like it was good to see that Zach Wilson could read the defenses, get out of the pocket, and make big plays, extend plays, and that was his main target, Corey Davis. 5 catches for 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is good to see. But as far as the Panthers go, overall they were the better team. It was a little bit closer than probably what they would have liked. But Sam Darnold, he came out there. I think he was ready to throw for as many yards as he possibly could. He almost eclipsed 300 yards. He had 279, but he wanted to make a statement. He has a lot more weapons. Christian McCaffrey, he came out and did his things. One of the top fantasy football players in the league right now, DJ Moore, he did his thing. And Robbie Anderson, 57 yards. That was his only catch for a touchdown. So it was good to see the Panthers on the right track, beating these New York Jets. Robert Sala is going to go back to the drawing board next week, get ready for the next team, but good win for the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a game that didn't have a lot of hype. I think the biggest thing you look at is Zach Wilson, like you were saying. It's good to kind of see he really can play. It wasn't just a preseason thing where he's playing against the twos and threes. He actually can dish the ball around and feed his guys, put points on the board and everything like that. So it's good to see Wilson. He has a bright future. As for the Panthers, yeah, they're the better team. They have more weapons with Robbie and McCaffrey as well as Moore. So I saw them winning either way. But like, watch out for them down the road too. Again, they're going to probably be one of the better teams in the South. Um, Not better than the Bucks, probably most likely, but they will be, knocking at the door with the Saints and everything too.
Yeah, I think they're still a year away. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be
One more
like
year?
middle of the pack. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
don't.
see
I
them.
mean, They
I
have a
don't see
chance
them
to be
being a
good
real
back too.
contender with the Bucks and the Saints. I think they'll be just like
They're in the
decent.
right direction. They're in the
Yeah,
right
I think
direction.
next
Yeah,
year is a different
positive
story. I think they're
momentum.
building towards it. They're just not there yet.
Yep.
We'll see how the year plays out.
All right, this was also a shocker. This game, Arizona Cardinals headed to Tennessee and won 38-13, putting it on the Titans.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray went off, 289, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Uh, that was the story of the game, and Ryan Tannehill struggled big time. Derrick Henry struggled, and of course, the biggest story was Chandler Jones five sacks. That was
5
the story.
sacks.
So, Zach, what did you think about
Yeah,
that performance by the Arizona Cardinals?
I think just their defense was killing it, and Kyler's the guy. Like right, like Kyler's showing that he is number one pick for a reason, um, and that the Cardinals, are competing. Um, to beat the Titans like they did, like we saw the Titans last year, they were almost Super Bowl contenders with Derrick Henry and with the addition of Julio Jones. You expect them to do a lot more, but they shut him down. So the Arizona defense is stacked based on this game, keeping Henry to about 50 yards or so, and our ability to score 4 touchdowns on the Titans. That shows a lot, and I think Kyler's got what it takes. He's surrounded by all the right pieces, and that team's gonna go far. Titans will be okay as well. I mean, they're not gonna. There's just one bad week. They'll come back. They'll bounce back.
So the Tennessee Titans, yeah, everybody thought they were gonna compete in this game. I thought it was gonna be way closer than what it was, but I think that Kyler Murray was just too much. I mean, these are the kind of quarterbacks that are changing the game. Guys like Kyler Murray, Jamar or Lamar Jackson, and I gotta say my guy Trey Lance. Those guys are going to be changing the game. These are the guys that you got to account for. They can do everything. They can run. You got to account for RPOs. You got to make sure the quarterback doesn't run for like 20 yards down the field, and he has a big arm. So even if he escapes the pocket, stays behind, and lets the play develop, he's throwing 50-yard bombers to whoever's open. So when the play collapses, I mean Kyler Murray, 4 touchdowns today, 1 interception, but 289 yards. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that, but these are the kind of quarterbacks that are changing the game, and he has weapons. They look good on offense, but Boris, you said it. The story of the day was Chandler Jones coming out and just absolutely taking over the game. Tannehill had no time to breathe back there. So it was good to see that he was doing good. As a 49er fan, I am concerned, but the Titans, they're going to have to take that loss and, head into week one and maybe scheme for better protection as far as Tannehill goes. But 49ers, man, we're going to have to do something against that defensive line because I thought they looked old, but they're the truth. They look good.
Yeah, I think the biggest. So I expected Kyler to have a good game. Titans don't have that great of a defense, so I don't think it's that shocking what he did because he balled out last year, and he's a pass first guy. That's the difference between him and like a Lamar Jackson. He's a much better passer. He could be. They keep talking. He might be the first 4,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher in the same season. So I wasn't surprised by that. I was surprised about the defense and how well they played against the Tennessee Titans. And J.J. Watt balled out because he was helping set up Chandler Jones on a lot of those. And having two pass rushers versus one makes a huge difference. So I think that was the biggest story, really stifling that Titans offense, because I think we all thought that Cardinals could have a good offense, but it's that defense that made this division way more interesting, because that was the difference between them and like a 49ers or a Rams. But if all three of those teams are playing at this level on defense, then that's a whole nother ball game. But let's move on to probably the game of the week. We had the Cleveland Browns go to the Kansas City Chiefs, took a huge lead, and it ended up losing at the end, 33-29. Kind of blew the game, honestly. A couple bad defensive plays. Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things, and it was a good, entertaining game overall. Fossey, what'd you think about that game?
So yeah, I mean, we all knew this was gonna be a straight up dogfight. I'm not going to go too much in about stats and stuff goes, but Patrick Mahomes always finds a way to get his team winning, and that's what he does. He always wins. I mean, in September he's never lost. So I mean, Browns, they're gonna be a great team. They'll probably see each other again in the playoffs. But again, Patrick Mahomes is just too much for everyone, including one of the better offenses in the Browns. I mean, again, I'm not going to get too much in it, but their run game were doing their thing. They probably did too much as far as the end goes. It should have been a win for the Browns, but Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same game, like kind of the back and forth that we did, that we saw last year when they played each other, right? Um, Kansas City, they'll take a cruise control, and then when it's time to put it on, Patty will put it up, Kelsey will get there, and Tyreek will turn on the Jets, and they'll just come back and score, 3 touchdowns in a minute if he can. So I think both teams, look good. Um, Chiefs just, need to pick it up, put the tempo on it sooner in the game rather than later. And the Browns will be fine. Probably just more of like game management towards the end to really finish games. I think that'll be the one thing they need to work on. Their defense is still fine. So, I mean, it's a good game. It was a good game to watch. Um, Definitely they'll see each other again probably in the playoffs.
I agree. I think this could be the AFC Championship. It's them and the Bills. Those are the three teams that are kind of vying for that. Disappointed in how the Browns kind of like let their foot off the gas a little bit. I think there was a couple opportunities that they kind of let go. Defense messed up. I know I always talk about the Bucks, but I do want to bring up that this game encapsulated exactly what I was worried about at halftime during the Super Bowl. That at any moment Patrick Mahomes can just turn it on. So the fact that he didn't in that Super Bowl was just insane because pretty much every other game he does. And this is another example of Mahomes doing Mahomes things and he's never out of it. So any team playing against the Chiefs, no matter when it is, Super Bowl, playoffs, whatever, you can never be up by too many points, which is why Kevin Stefanski went for it, the 2 point conversion on the first touchdown of the game. But then he lightened up later in the game where he should have gone for it. He kicked the field goal. There were a couple of opportunities that he kind of let go. So
Yeah.
you got to keep that pedal to the metal when you're playing against the Chiefs. Moving on, Dolphins at Patriots. Dolphins squeaked out a win against their bitter rival, the New England Patriots, 17-16. Tua played good, not great. Mac Jones played maybe even a little bit better, but overall, Miami squeaks out the win. What'd you guys think? Zach, what'd you think about this win for the Miami Dolphins?
I think for the Dolphins, it's good for them, right? I mean, you saw some promise last year. I mean, seeing that Tua can play and deliver is a good on his end. Yeah, the game probably wanted to be higher scoring for them, but I mean, show that game management's there. Other than that, Patriots give them time. I think Mac Jones will be good, down the road later on in the year. But the Dolphins are going to be good in this division. I think they're going to still pick up from their trend last year. So I'll keep a lookout on for them. Really, I mean, other than that, Tua do what he can do. Uh, we'll see how he progresses throughout the year as well.
Yeah, so as far as the this game goes, I'm so glad that the Patriots lost. I never liked Mac Jones as far as the draft goes. Everybody thought that Mac Jones was going
Hater.
to be the overall pick.
He
I'm
also had a
so
great
glad he
game,
didn't pick
by
him.
the way.
He had
Also
a
had a
good
great
game,
game.
but I'm glad that they lost because they released Cam Newton. Come on, I'm a fan of Cam Newton. Cam Newton's probably sitting on his couch somewhere saying, "Ha ha, you guys lost. I would have won that game." But again, that is a tough Dolphins team. Defense came out and did his thing. Tua did enough. I mean, let's face it. I thought he was going to be way better, putting up kind of like Justin Herbert type numbers, but he went for 202 yards, like a touchdown and a pick. But he pulled out the win. Patriots lost, so good for Tua.
I mean, it's like
Let's
what
calm
Boris
down.
said. You got the rookies.
let's calm down about the Mac Jones hate on this game. He was 29 for 39, 281 and a touchdown. They didn't get in the end zone
Yeah.
enough, but the offense played well. They just couldn't convert when it mattered the most. But for a first game, Damian Harris went off 23 for 100. Like the
Yep.
Patriots offense against a good Dolphins defense played really well. So I think that moving forward, Mac Jones, that's a great first game. Great first game stat line. And I think that that is a
For a
better
rookie,
game
yeah.
than Cam Newton's had in a long time passing the ball. So let's calm down with the Cam Newton talk because he hasn't been good passing the ball in like
I
7 years.
just don't I don't like Mac Jones.
I
And I
get
thought
that.
they were gonna do a lot more with their two tight ends with Jonnu Smith and Hunter
Give it some
Henry,
time,
but
bro. Yeah, give
They
it some
they
combined
time.
didn't
for
do anything.
they combined for like 70, 73 yards. Not great,
Yeah.
but they worked it in later in the game, and it's something that they're going to add wrinkles to. But I
Yeah.
think both
So
teams
you're
should be
down.
happy. I think Patriots fans should be happy with how well the rookie played, and the offense looked a lot better than even I thought they would, especially against this defense.
Yeah.
Next on the
It'll be fun.
list, Denver Broncos took care of business. This was a predictable scoreline, 27-13 over the New York Giants. Dominated the game. Daniel Jones, decent game, not great. Saquon Barkley, nowhere to be found. But Denver Broncos defense showed up big time. What'd you guys think about this game?
Saquon disappeared. He hurt me in fantasy. He literally did. Hurt me in fantasy.
Told you.
But no, I know. I don't know, something about it.
Poor guy.
No, I know. But I think Denver is good. Like y'all had hopes on their defense being good, and they're good. So I mean, they're never out of the rankings there for their defense. But I think Teddy Bridgewater kind of played a good game himself, and that's kind of what you're looking at in this. And again, I'm a fan of Teddy. I'm glad he balled out. You know, guys, 2 touchdowns, 264 yards. Shocking for me personally is seeing Melvin Gordon rush for 100 yards, and it's like just
He had
something
that
I
big
didn't think the
run.
guy had in him. Yeah,
He had that big breakaway.
so it was good to see him do his thing. But I'm more Bridgewater fan on that. Giants are Giants. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, Denver's got a good defense, and that should take them to, promised land if they can, but not in that division.
So what are the Giants doing? I don't know what they're doing. They don't help Saquon, like their best player. Like what do you they I mean they hardly give him the ball. I mean, he's coming off a major injury, but if he's playing, like come on, play him. Uh Teddy
Yeah.
Bridgewater,
He had
a
10
great
rushes for
comeback story.
26.
I mean, yeah,
Offensive
Yeah,
line
he
yeah,
had
isn't
10
very
rushes for
good.
26.
The
he had
offensive line isn't very
26
good.
yards. That
Yeah,
he's one
Yeah,
of the premier
that tells
players.
you.
He's like one of the faces of the NFL,
he does
and
that.
the New
I've
York
had
Giants
him.
aren't doing anything with him.
I've
So
had him in
He
fantasy.
it's
disappeared.
He does that.
it's really sad. Like to be honest, like he's one of the best players in the league. 26 yards in week one is not good at all. If you're a New York Giants fan, I'm sorry. This is probably going to be the rest of your year because they don't have a good line. Daniel Jones is
I mean,
mediocre. And you know what? The rest of the team, I mean, you got guys like Sterling Shepard who's trying. Slayton comes over from wherever he came from, and then Galladay from
Washington.
the Detroit Lions.
He's
But
Galladay came
guess
from.
what? The best player is Saquon, and he only got 26 yards. Like you're bringing in all these receivers, they're not good. Just give the ball to Saquon. It's not enough. So I feel bad for the Giants. They're probably not going to do anything this year. But yeah, good win for the Broncos. Solid defense. Good play from Teddy Bridgewater. That's a good comeback story. But Saquon fans, I'm sorry, they're not using him right.
Sterling Shepard had a great game. Let's give him credit. 7
Yeah,
receptions, 113 and a touchdown. He looked good. Saquon's. I mean, that he has those games where he just doesn't get anything going. He's been like that. He's always had those games, even when he had a great season. I think he'll continue to do that. He'll have a couple breakout huge games where you're like, oh my God. But he'll have a
yeah,
lot of these too. He'll have that mixed bag of he's not a consistent running back, especially on this team. Um, Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater looked great, like
Yeah.
surprisingly
yeah.
great. really good.
Yeah,
But we can't
he's
leave this
solid.
game without talking about Jerry Judy's injury. Hopefully he's okay. It didn't look good. He got carted off the field. So if you lose that weapon, that's a big loss for this team. Noah Fant's going to have to step up. Cortland Sutton has to play a lot better than 1 for 14. But Jerry Judy led the way with 72 yards. If he's not playing for this team, then that really hurts their offense and hurts their chances at competing for this division.
Yeah, true.
All right. Next on the list, this, I keep saying this is the biggest shock. This was the biggest shock of the weekend. Green Bay Packers going to the New Orleans Saints, losing
Yeah.
38-3, getting destroyed in
Ooh.
Jacksonville, a neutral type field, I guess you could say. Aaron Rodgers, 15 for 28, 133 and 2 touchdowns. Jameis Winston going 148 and 5 touchdowns. Not a lot of yards, but he didn't have to throw for a lot. And overall, they
Yeah.
just destroyed them. Like nobody saw this coming. The Packers just didn't show up today.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you could say it's offensive line, it could be great defensive play. Um, but yeah, I expected Rodgers, at least to do more. Um, but the Saints, Jameis did well. He played smart. We talked about him having his own 30 for 30 series a couple years ago. So him managing the ball well and dishing it out where he needed to be shows good promise for him. But yeah, I think your biggest thing is Aaron Rodgers not delivering, showing up. He took, had his little offseason issues, but to put up 2 interceptions, 133 yards, 15 for 28, and you'll get 3 points out of it. It's concerning, very concerning. Definitely a shocking loss for them. That could hopefully doesn't trickle, down the road for them. It's just like a one game fluke type of deal. But the whole team played poorly as well. Rushing, um, receiving. Devontae Adams, got 56 yards, but other than that, it wasn't good as a team effort.
Yeah, so as far as the Green Bay Packers go, the last dance, the start of the last dance is not good. I mean, come on. Aaron Rodgers, what did you do this week? You threw for like 130 yards. Aaron
In your State
Jones,
Farm
who was
commercial.
probably a lot of people or high on a lot of people's draft board, he didn't do anything. He had 9 yards. So that's very concerning. And then you got Devontae Adams. I mean, those are your three players that should be taking over games. He only had 56 yards. So the last dance
Not
for
bad.
these guys didn't go uh, as planned for the start of it, but hopefully they turn it around. I have a lot of belief in Aaron Rodgers that he will turn it around, but not a good start. As far as the Saints goes, man, Jameis Winston is looking like that number one overall pick with the right coaching staff. He came out. He didn't have to throw a lot, but he did what he needs to do, which was basically throw the touchdowns when he needed to. He had 5 of them today against Packers defense. This was the reigning NFC champions for like the last or the year before last year. So that's a good team, and he put up 5 touchdowns against them. So good for Jameis Winston. It's good to see Alvin Kamara getting 83 yards. He's doing his thing. And then as far as receiving goes, Jameis Winston is just working what he got with what he has. I mean, he has guys like Johnson and Harris catching balls in the end zone. Chris Hogan, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. He caught a touchdown today. So good for Jameis Winston. Good for that Saints team overall. But yeah, Packers, they got to go back and reevaluate how they come into this season because it wasn't a good start to week one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Jameis played
Boris.
well, but I want to hear, or I don't want to hear. We got to calm down with the because he has a better coaching staff. He threw for 150 yards. Let's calm down with this whole Jameis
Hey,
is
don't
10
be
times
mad because
better
you're a Bucks
because
fan.
now he
Let's
plays for the
just say it.
Saints,
Let's just
and when
get
he was
that
for
out
the
of the way.
Bucks, he never threw for 5,000 yards. and 30 touchdowns.
Let's get that
Yeah,
out
he
of the
Let's
was
calm
way.
down
killing
with
it.
this.
Sean
Jameis doesn't
Payton
make any
is
mistakes. He had a
way
lot of
better than the
games.
coaching staff that he had at the Bucks.
Oh, you mean that Sean Payton that won one title in like 15 years? That Sean Payton, the one Bruce
Look at what
Arians
he.
won 2 coaches of the year and
When's the
was Super
last
Bowl
time you
recently.
saw Jameis Winston put up a stat line like 5 touchdowns and
2 years
0 interceptions?
ago.
Come on,
I
Yeah,
mean,
back when he
come
played for
on.
the Bucks 2 years ago. He
I
had
mean, he might
many games where he went off. Many games where he
400
went off,
yards,
and he had
5
many
touchdowns.
games where he played terribly. So just because he has one game where he plays well doesn't mean that he's fixed and he's all good to go. If he puts
I'd say
together a
more ball
season where
management.
he doesn't turn over the ball a bunch and he's super consistent, then okay. But one game, he had games all the time with Tampa where he threw 30 touchdowns, like almost 5,000 yards. Like the guy had great games and he had terrible games. This was only like 140 something yards. Like I get it, he played really well and it was 5 touchdowns and he played great. I'm
And
not trying to downplay that,
those
but this idea
140
that he's
yards
10 times better because he
came,
plays for Sean Payton,
and those
he played one game.
148 yards turned into 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
he
Maybe
didn't
they
have to
know how
throw
to
that
use him
deep.
better.
He had to
Maybe
go.
they know how to
No, he
use
didn't
him
have to
better.
throw deep though. He played like short field the whole time. He made a couple of long throws. It's not much. It's
the
not hard
defense
to
won the game.
not get
Let's be
interceptions. Yeah,
honest. They shut down the Packers. They gave him short fields. But this idea that like he's 10 times better now that he's on the Saints. Let's calm down with
I
that. He
think he
played a
is.
lot of
I think he
great
is.
games.
I'm sorry. I think
He
he
played
is.
he's only
I
thrown
think
for
he
like
is.
140
Defense was
yards.
in their jobs, but 5
like you said, he
throwing
didn't have to throw
touchdowns.
that
Come
far
on,
though.
that's on the
You said he didn't
quote.
have to throw
Come
that
on.
much.
I get that, but to say that he's like all of a sudden the greatest quarterback and he was trash on the Bucks, I just don't agree with that. I don't. I'm trying to look up his stats from when he was on the Bucks, just like games.
3 years ago.
I definitely remember a 4 touchdown no pick game against the
Yeah,
Saints, I
he's had
believe.
a,
He's had a lot of great games, but he's
no.
had a lot of
Yeah,
I mean,
terrible
but
if you're
from the
not
games too.
Saints.
if you're
Yeah,
not
but
throwing
from
a
the
lot or
Saints.
throwing as
I
deep,
think I think the
you
Saints are
won't get intercepted.
gonna sweep the Bucks this year.
You want to put
It's
money
not,
on
he just
that?
wants to pick. He just wants to irk you.
Yeah,
Thousand cash, boss.
he's trying to throw
Fantasy
he's trying to throw
$1,000.
gas on the flame. It's all
I
right.
think I think they're gonna sweep the Bucks. Jameis
Well,
Winston's
maybe
gonna go
we'll
back
see.
Let's
to.
keep monitoring. Let's keep monitoring this
All right, we'll come
this
back to it.
Jameis
We'll come
Winston
back to it.
play. Let's keep
Give
monitoring.
Jameis 3 weeks and see how
We'll
that
come
goes.
back to it. Jameis Winston is gonna throw for another 150 yards and 5 touchdowns next week.
No, he's definitely gonna go 300.
All
Three
right,
touchdowns, 300 yards next week.
moving on from Jameis Winston
Two
and
picks.
the Saints. We had Sunday Night Football. This game wasn't quite as interesting, but Chicago Bears battled a
I like
little. They went down 34-14 to the Los Angeles Rams. This was the new Sean McVay offense with Matthew Stafford, new shiny weapon,
Mhm.
and he balled out. He played great. 20 for 26, 321, 3 touchdowns. This was probably the best performance of the weekend for a quarterback. Him and Kyler.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I
This
missed
was
that.
what I mean. It was almost flawless, no picks. He put it on a
20 for
defense
26.
that's and a
Pretty
defense
good.
is supposed to be pretty good. Like the Bears have
Yeah.
Khalil Mack. It's a good defense on Sunday night. Rams lived up to the hype. Defense played well. What'd you guys think about this game?
I think it was good. I mean, I like seeing Stafford do what he did. Like you said, best stat line of the week with Stafford. Um, I think. I mean, the Rams look good. You can't say anything. Defense did what they had to do. Running game was good, right? With Henderson rushing for 70 yards and a touchdown, so that's good to see. With Akers being out, and then receiving game, man, they got loads of weapons with Cup, Van Jefferson, got Robert Woods, Deshaun, all going for at least double digits or more, which is great, which is good. Stafford's speeding the rock out, and I think in this offense he's going to really thrive. He's really going to do well. Put up the numbers you've seen him before when he had Megatron. So that's what I'm calling for. The Rams. As for the Bears, I mean they played okay. I think Dalton, showed some good sign of light. And then David Montgomery, wasn't the biggest fan of him, but seeing him rush for 100 yards and it shows that they actually have a decent running game. That's my takeaway from this game overall. I was enjoyed by it. I was invested.
Yeah, so first of all, great stadium. It looks great.
Oh,
I
thank you.
want to visit SoFi. Yeah, yeah. I knew you would appreciate that. But
Hmm.
yeah,
We'll go next.
David
We'll go next
Montgomery.
year.
Yeah, let's go. I'm down. But yeah, David Montgomery, he's always been solid. Uh, Great performance from him, over 100 yards of TD. But this Bears defense, they got exposed. I think I think Matthew Stafford is gonna be an absolute uh, train wreck for the rest of this league. I am concerned as far as being a 49er fan and being in the NFC West with him coming to this McVay offense. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns. You guys said it. 20 of 26. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. No interceptions. This team is stacked. You got Aaron Donald on defense, Jalen Ramsey. He was blowing everything up, screens, doing everything that as far as stopping whatever the Bears was trying to give them. He was there. So this team looks really good. They came out and they showcased it on Sunday Night Football, and the Bears, I think they need to go to Justin Fields, Andy
Already?
Dalton. I mean, I think they do. I mean, he threw 38 times, 206, and one interception, no TD. So I think it's time to make that change. There's no point in doing that bridge quarterback thing with him because Andy Dalton is new to the system too. Just throw Fields in there, give him his rookie, taste, and then see where it goes from there.
This was the sacrificial lamb game. I don't think they wanted to put Fields out there with this defensive line and this defense in general to get exposed right away. So give him an easier matchup later on, but put Dalton in there. I believe they also told Andy Dalton he's the starter before they ever drafted Fields. So to keep that promise alive, you also start him. So it's a little bit of that. Um, Bears are okay, kind of boring. Rams look really good. I think they're going to be one of the top teams. They could be like an NFC Championship type of team, if not a Super Bowl winner. Like this team is loaded. So we'll see what happens. But I think that division overall, with how well the Cardinals play, 49ers played, they played, you got, it's just that whole division is loaded. Seahawks played well. So we'll see what happens. I dove into the archive just because I was curious to see what game I was thinking of. It
There
was
you go.
I'll
There
show
you
you right
go.
now. Jameis's rookie year as a rookie against the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a good defense back then. Bucks won 45-17. Jameis Winston, 19 for 29, 246, 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. I don't remember Sean Payton being his
That
coach
hey
back then. Maybe he talked to
hey
him in the
that
bathroom at the
hey, you know what?
combine or
That's gonna
something,
happen
but I don't know.
more often in the Saints offense. So get used to it, buddy.
They might have rubbed shoulders in the urinal at the combine, Sean Payton and Jameis Winston. So maybe that was why he played so well against the Philadelphia Eagles that year as a rookie. But I don't know. I just don't see this. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I need to see more
Jameis
than
Winston is gonna be
146
good
or
for the Saints.
whatever and
You
five
don't want to
touchdowns. Give
admit
me a
it.
break. I think I love Jameis. I've been rooting for Jameis. I've been team Jameis the whole time. I hope he plays well. I really do. But he's got to show it to me in a whole season before we can really give Sean Payton his flowers for turning him around. One game doesn't do it. Sorry.
We'll see. We'll see.
Final game is actually tomorrow. We have the Baltimore Ravens visiting the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders' first game hosting at their new stadium. You talked about the Rams Stadium. I love to check that out. I would also love to check out the Raiders Stadium.
Death
How you guys
Star.
feeling about this game? I just want to see where are we picking after all the Baltimore Ravens with their running back woes, all the injuries going to Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins and everybody else there.
Justice Hill.
Justice Hill. How are you feeling about this matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders? Can the Raiders do enough to pull off the upset?
What you thinking, Fossey?
No, the Raider.
You don't think the Raiders can take it?
You heard it here first. A simple
No.
no from Fossey on
No.
on
All
what
right.
if.
So
So
let me
you're
tell you
picking the
something.
Ravens. You're picking the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, you got
Okay.
Lamar Jackson. That defense is solid, and Derek Carr hasn't taken a snap all preseason. He's been running with the ones in practice and stuff like that, but he hasn't even been touched. So this week one game against one of the
Neither did
best
Herbert.
defenses in the NFL is a preseason game to him. He's about to get touched. He's about to look. He's about to basically go out there and embarrass the Raiders because he's not ready. They didn't throw him in there, and I blame John Gruden for that. He should have got touches in preseason, and he didn't. He's gonna go out there. It's on national television. This defense is gonna expose that old school kind of John Gruden outdated offense that they do over there. And as far as the running game goes for the Baltimore Ravens, you can throw anybody back there. All of their
Yeah,
guys are
Latavius
hurt, but
Murray.
if you got a guy like Lamar Jackson at quarterback, you got to account for RPOs, run pass option. If he pulls it down and he wants to tuck it and run, he's going to do that. He'll break off like 20, 25 yards off of one play, or he can throw it for 20, 30 yards down the field. So as far as the matchup goes, I'm not expecting a lot out of the Raiders offense, and I'm expecting a lot out of the Ravens defense and Ravens offense. So I think it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be an embarrassment for the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to continue to be bad.
Okay,
I
tell me how you
mean,
really
shoot.
feel.
Yeah, that's I don't know how to top that
Raiders
one.
suck.
Uh,
Okay. Whoa, whoa,
uh,
whoa. From a
okay,
true
fine.
Niner
I got
fan over there. It doesn't matter how far
I'm
you move
sorry. They
away.
suck. I'm
It
sorry.
doesn't matter.
still talking that. I think I'm on the opposite end of your boat, Fossey. I got them 24-21 over the Ravens. A couple of the points you made up is RPO, right? Yeah, that's great for Lamar, but you can stop an RPO. There's enough footage on Lamar to kind of stuff that, fill the gaps there. Um, Marcus Peters also is hurt, right? So that's a whole one side of the field that's open now that
It's a
Derek
big
Carr can throw
loss.
to. That's going to be a big loss on their defense. Marcus Peters is the
Who's
guy.
going to
Don't shake your
stop
head
the
like that's
RPO?
one dude.
Max
I'm just saying,
Crosby?
there's enough on
Come
there's
on.
enough footage to
It's
to prep
true.
for it. Maybe not
It's a good
fully
point.
stop it, but you can prep for it. Um, and I mean, Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs back there, Henry Ruggs. You have Darren Waller who can put up 200 yards a game with 2 touchdowns any given day. I think the Raiders have it. Uh, in their they have the tools to do it. I think it'll be 24-21. I think just the Ravens with all those running back injuries, they were really successful when they had a running back that could run, with Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. If Latavius Murray can be that guy that he's been at every single place, like in Oakland, uh, as well as Minnesota and in New Orleans, they will be fine. But I think there's enough footage and enough preparation that the Raiders will squeak it out, not by a lot, just by 3. So that's my take on it.
I know
And
we're
they do
talking
suck
about
too.
Latavius
So
Murray. I know we're talking about Latavius Murray, but he might. I mean, he's not going to be the main running back. It's Tyson Williams.
Le'Veon
Latavius
Bell.
Murray just
yeah,
got there.
Le'Veon's still like not even
Le'Veon
at his
Bell
prime.
hasn't
He's
been
still the
good in
practice
like
squad.
5 years. Tyson Williams is going to be the
Yeah,
guy. He's going to have a great game, I think, against this poor Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders defense. Uh, this is a tough game for me. I think it's going to be close. I would go with the Ravens, but I don't see it being a blowout because the Raiders are a decent team. Like they played the Chiefs well last year. They beat the Chiefs, played them well both
they play
times. That's
teams
also
well.
a divisional game, so that's a little different.
Yeah,
I don't really care that Derek Carr didn't play. Like you mentioned, Herbert didn't play all year. These guys practice
yeah.
all day. They play in all these scrimmage games in practice. They play like joint
They
practices.
play. They get
They
enough
get
touches.
plenty of chances to throw the ball. And the guy's a
Yeah,
veteran. He's been in the league. So I'm not too worried about that. I think Derek Carr played well last year. Doesn't get enough credit for it. But at the same time, it's a tough Baltimore defense. I like the Raiders, but I think their biggest issue, I think their offense will be fine. I think it's the defense is the huge letdown. And
that
that's the
we
part
let
that I
down.
would be
Yeah,
worried about. I think the offense will play well, but I'm more excited, honestly, to see what happens with the Raiders offense because you want to see who those weapons are. Like, you got
yeah.
those guys
Is
like the
Henry
Henry
Ruggs the
Ruggs,
guy?
the
Is
Brian Edwards.
Renfro?
Renfro. You have all these guys, these young players, and you want to know who is the top dog other than Waller, because you know Waller's the top dog. But who is the
Yeah.
receiver that's going to step up? Nelson Aguilar's gone. He's in New England. Like, who are these guys that are going to actually catch the passes from Derek Carr? They all have big names now. Brian Edwards even has a big name just because you hear about him all the time. So who's going to be that guy? But I still pick. I think the Ravens will win a close one. They'll probably win by 3. I think it'll be a good game.
You probably do 24-21 the same Ravens. I mean,
Something
you also
like
got
that.
like Kenny and Drake's there.
I
And
got
Josh
them winning
Jacobs,
by
so,
10. Ravens.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And that's not a crazy pick by any
I'm not
means.
one. Yeah. So,
All right,
2
guys.
Ravens,
I think
1 Raiders.
yeah.
That's what it is.
We'll check in next week to see how we did. I just want to say thank
Yeah.
you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Check out the YouTube channel. We're still posting these online. You can see our beautiful faces. I just want to say it's great to have football back. This show, we kind of do a little bit of all sports, but now that it's football, I think we're going to really go heavy on football because that's our love, our pride and joy. But I love sitting on the couch, watching some Red Zone, having the iPad out, looking at my fantasy players. How you guys feeling for this NFL season? You guys ready to go?
Yeah, no, I'm ready. It's been a long time coming. More excited, and just have fantasy football, have something to look forward to on Sunday, rather than just hanging out with the boys and the family. So it's good to have it, just all day events. So I'm excited for it.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Fasi's about to-
He's
Fasi's
at a
ready
loss
to
for
go.
words.
I
He's gonna
am
tear
so-
up right here.
I
Get
am
this boy a
so
towel.
happy that I have football back in my
You
life.
need some
I'm
milk.
sorry. It's been you know what? It's been too long.
It's been too
you know,
long.
everybody's been through COVID and stuff
You
like
need that solo. Here you go.
It's just good
Yeah, you gotta
to
preach,
be
brother,
back
preach.
and to watch your favorite team play. I mean, we've all seen our teams win this week, and that's the joy that I've missed. So thank you, 49ers, and I'll speak for Zach and Boris right now. Thank you, Bucks and Chargers, for winning our games because it's a good feeling. It's great to be back in football.
Yeah, good
All
luck.
right. With that being said, we hope you guys' team won too. We hope your fantasy team went off. And next week we'll go through the same thing. We'll highlight all the teams, all the games, one at a time. So
My
look
team's
forward to it.
16.
And we will see you guys later. Peace.
Later.